Why does Germany dare to defy the EU? You read that right. This is the most surreal scene in the global trade circle of 2025. No sooner had the EU headquarters in Brussels brought down the hammer, imposing punitive tariffs of up to 35.3% on Chinese electric vehicles, than German Vice-Chancellor Robert Habeck, Klingbeil, flew to Beijing with a massive delegation of entrepreneurs. Their luggage was filled with cooperation lists. Within one day, the fourth China-Germany high-level financial and economic dialogue concluded, directly finalizing 27 consensuses, all concrete deliverables, ranging from supply chain security to digital economy cooperation. What is even more perception-defying is that, at a time when global politicians are constantly talking about de-risking, the trade volume between China and Germany in the first 9 months soared to €185.9 billion, achieving a counter-cyclical growth of 3.2% year-on-year. China effectively left the United States, which had held that spot for 2 years, far behind. This reverse operation stunned Western media. Is Germany trying to sing a different tune from the EU? Why ignore the political correctness of its allies and insist on binding itself to China? What is the motive? To understand Germany's choice, one must first grasp the underlying logic of the China-Germany economic golden partnership. They are no longer a simple buyer-seller relationship. Instead, they function like the driving and driven gears in a precision machine, tightly interlocked, where either can turn if the other breaks. If you compare German high-end manufacturing to the movement of a Patek Philippe watch, those millimeter-level accuracies and centuries-old craftsmanship, you're looking at Mercedes-Benz engines, Siemens industrial robots, and BASF's specialty chemical materials. China is the most indispensable dial, strap, and power source for this watch. It not only provides the vast market to consume these high-end products, but also the complete supply chain to bring the technology to fruition. German carmakers rely on the Chinese market to survive. Volkswagen's annual sales in China account for over 40% of its global total, and BMW's Shenyang factory has a larger capacity than its Munich headquarters. China's industrial upgrading also cannot do without German technology. Our new energy vehicle companies must use German precision machine tools to calibrate electrodes when making batteries, and when chemical companies upgrade environmental protection equipment, the core filter components are often from Germany. Like a smartphone needing a fast charger, German smart manufacturing cannot be sustained without the Chinese market, and China's upgrading cannot be accelerated without German technology. This interdependence, where you are in me and I am in you, is more effective than any political slogan. Even more shocking is that German companies cast a vote of confidence with real money. More than 6 out of 10 German carmakers plan to increase their investment in China. BMW invested €9.1 billion in R&D, and Volkswagen was even bolder, investing €50 billion in China over 5 years. Note that U.S. exports to Germany fell by 6.5% in the first 8 months, but Germany's trade with China rose by 3%. This contrast holds a major secret about the global trade landscape. Next, let's break down what is the confidence that allows Germany to embrace China despite EU pressure. What can the failures of other Western countries teach us? Finally, let's discuss whether this wave of China-Germany cooperation can withstand the EU's trade barriers. First, look at a set of sobering data. In the first 8 months of 2025, Germany's trade volume with China was €163.4 billion, compared to only €162.8 billion with the US. This €600 million difference clearly spells out who the true friend is. Within the EU, France's trade volume with China in the first 8 months was only $39.09 billion, less than half of Germany's. The US fared even worse, with its exports to Germany directly falling by 6.5% year-on-year, and a monthly drop of 20.1% in August. Most ironically, as the EU called for tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, the president of the German Association of the Automotive Industry publicly stated that, for every 1 Chinese car sold in Germany, 142 German cars are sold in China. This is Germany's sobriety. It understands its own economic lifeline better than following the EU's political correctness. The US's decoupling and de-risking resulted in its own agricultural and energy products being squeezed out of the German market. France followed the EU in calling for strategic autonomy, but couldn't offer a large market to replace China, only watching its domestic carmakers fall behind in the electric vehicle transition. Germany is different. It knows that China's car ownership per thousand people, 132 vehicles, compared to Germany's 581 vehicles, is all growth potential. This pragmatism is miles ahead of its European and American counterparts. Commentary analysis. Germany's choice ruthlessly exposed the hypocritical lies of de-risking. In the West, the risk, politicians speak of as political calculation, while the true risk is always the catastrophic failure of missing the Chinese market of 1.4 billion people. U.S. exports to Germany plummeted by 6.5%, leaving soybeans and LNG piled up at ports. France's trade with China is less than half of Germany's, and its domestic carmakers are running out of fuel for the EV transition. In contrast, behind Germany's 3.2% trade increase, the machines of Volkswagen and Siemens are spinning faster. This comparison makes it clear: trade protection is self-defeating, and in the face of economic interests, any political slogan is fragile. Germany's clarity is a blessing for Made in Germany, and a pragmatic lesson for global trade. Next, there's subversion drama. In the automotive sector is more thrilling than any TV series. The EU imposed tariffs of up to 35.3% on Chinese electric vehicles, only to be jointly sued by BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Tesla. You read that right. Even American Tesla stood up to oppose it because 30% of the cars from its Shanghai factory are sold in Europe, and tariffs equal shooting itself in the foot. Even more of a slap in the face. The Volkswagen Group mentioned China 20 times in its financial report and invested 50 billion euros to build the Oriental Wolfsburg. BMW let its Shanghai team lead the design of its new E-Class, new generation models, which will go into production in 2026. In contrast, the US forced carmakers to decouple from China, resulting in Ford's EV costs being 40% higher than China's, and GM's market share in China falling to only 3%. France's Renault bet on the European local market, but its EV sales fell by 12% year-on-year. Most surprisingly, although German carmakers' market share in China fell from 22.3% to 17.6%, they dared to invest more as the share dropped, because they know that the Chinese market is not just a place to sell cars, but an experimentation ground for electrification and intelligence, where technology can feed back to the global market. Commentary analysis. The EU's tariff barrier is not a talisman at all, but a self-inflicted farce. It intended to protect local carmakers, but BMW and Mercedes-Benz led the revolt, and even the US's Tesla stepped out in opposition. This slap was loud and hard. US Ford's costs soared by 40% after decoupling. France's Renault's sales fell by 12% while sticking to the European market, and German carmakers invested more as their share dropped. The answer lies in the dual identity of the Chinese market. It's both a big buyer and an innovation engine. The joint lawsuit is a collective no to trade protectionism from the entire automotive industry, and it completely punctures the lie of protecting local industry. Cooperation in the digital field hides a secret weapon. Siemens, a German industrial giant, participated in the CIE for the 8th time, bringing more than 10 industrial AI products and signing a slew of cooperation agreements with Chinese companies. Its industrial AI assistant helped a Chinese firm, Automotive, shorten its production line debugging time by 30%, and the copper smelting AI system jointly developed with 15th Metallurgical Construction Group improved the stability of blister copper grade by 15%. What's more disruptive is that Siemens' largest global R&D center is located in China, where 6 out of 300 Chinese partners are engaged in AI, and co-created solutions account for 1/3. In contrast, the US imposed a chip ban, resulting in Intel's revenue in China falling by 18% and Qualcomm having to secretly apply for supply licenses. The EU pursued digital sovereignty. aiming to build its own industrial software ecosystem, but its market share was actually taken by Chinese software by 5 percentage points in 2025. Germany, however, went the opposite way. BMW cooperated with Huawei on the Harmony Intelligent Cockpit, and Volkswagen used the Chinese supply chain to rebuild its European factories, turning China's technology and data into its own competitiveness. This wisdom of borrowing a ship to go to sea is far superior to the closed-door car manufacturing approach of the US and Europe. Commentary analysis. The competition in the digital era is essentially a contest between openness and isolation. The US's chip ban and the EU's digital barriers appear to protect local industries but actually hinder innovation. Germany's Siemens has deeply cultivated the Chinese market, using cooperation to exchange for technology and an ecosystem to exchange for the future, thus seizing the initiative. The combination of China's industrial application scenarios and data advantages with Germany's manufacturing foundation is unstoppable. This tells us that global technological development is never a zero-sum game. Cooperation is the best path. By now, you should understand that Germany is not defying the EU, but choosing the path most aligned with economic laws. Those Western countries shouting, de-risking, are either crushed by costs or left behind by technology. Only Germany has clearly seen the core truth: China is not a risk, but the most indispensable partner in the global industrial chain. Can China-Germany cooperation withstand the EU barrier? The answer is hidden in the 185.9 billion euros of trade volume, in the investment orders of BMW and Volkswagen, and in Siemens' AI laboratory. The winners in future global trade will certainly be those countries and companies that dare to break down prejudices and engage in pragmatic cooperation. If you find this analysis insightful, please like and share it to let more people see the truth about global trade. Follow me, and next time we will explore how the Chinese supply chain is rewriting global manufacturing rules. Feel free to leave any thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for reading, and see you next time.